Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 62 of the 40k Badcast. My name is Dan Boyd, and I'm joined, as always, by my guiding light, my North Star, Crumbelina McLizardman.
Oh, okay. That's two flavors there that I was not expecting the interplay between Crumbelina and McLizardman to really play through there. But I guess if you were to try to make a Lizardman first name for me, it would probably need to involve a lot of apostrophes and maybe be a little bit offensive.
Right, so I went with Crumbelina instead.
Yeah, no, that's good. That better reflects my culture anyway.
It's a portmanteau of Thumbelina and Crumbles.
Thank you for explaining the joke to everyone so everyone can be on the same page as you, Dan.
Well, unfortunately, Campbell, I have to do more explaining.
Oh, okay. Well, explain away, my good friend.
Sharper-eared listeners may notice that things might sound different on my end because I'm not in the studio. I am actually in my basement. I've set up a home podcasting command center. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Badcast command center, and I am podcasting from home. So it's a different mic, it's a different board, and it's a different space. And so, listeners, just bear with us. I'm still working out how this is going to sound and what the final form is going to be. So, if it does sound terrible, let us know. But if it sounds okay, also let us know, because we desire that kind of feedback. Contact at 40kbadcast.com. Always the best way to get in touch with us. But with that being said, let's move on to the aspects where we talk about what's on our hobby radar. And I'll start with hobby progress. So I finished that Stalker Lieutenant.
Hell yeah.
And I, just now am thinking, oh, wait, I haven't taken any pictures of this guy. So that's a project to do for later tonight. And get him up on Twitter, and, of course, tweet him at the Primaris Lieutenant account.
That's such a layup to get a bunch of very easy imaginary internet points.
A bunch of very real serotonin.
Ooh, that's true. That's true. I need to microdose that serotonin via social media.
So, yeah, that guy, I've used him in a game, too. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I really like that model. He's got a lot of great details on him that is not immediately apparent when you're just looking at the box art.
Yeah, though, that model is like the Primaris Lieutenant fatigue is a very real and understandable thing, but that's a good fucking model. It's got personality.
It certainly does, and it's got like a different hair than most Marines have. He's got sort of like a male pattern baldness, like Widow's Peak.
There's a lot of that going on too, though. The Adepticon Lieutenant has a very similar hairline to mine.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. That's good for them and you. Okay, I've also started in on some more Orlocks from a Necromunda campaign, which I'll give an update about in the next section here. And I put together and primed an Amble and some Boar Worms also for the Necromunda campaign.
Neat.
Which it's a great model. Very excited to paint that one. I think it'll come together pretty quickly too.
I think so, too. You can get a long way with some very simple painting techniques and something that big and organic.
So it won't be the rush of Adepticon of yesteryear, but I have made one somewhat questionable decision for pre-Adepticon prep.
Oh, no.
Oh, because I want to do Aeronautica Imperialis.
Don't we all?
And I don't have anything painted or put together for that yet.
Okay.
Well, I have the Imperial planes put together from the box set that Danielle got me for my birthday. But I want to do Orcs because everybody seems to be doing Imperials.
It's because Imperials are cooler.
I don't think, we can argue about this. It's our fucking podcast. We can argue about whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
I think the Orcs are a lot cooler.
I think the Orcs are really great at doing donuts around the Imperial planes and then dying, in my experience. Well, but the Thunderbolt is chef kiss. That model's incredible. I love that.
The Thunderbolt is incredible, and rules-wise, I think it's also very, very good. But, oh man, I just love the idea of like a swarm of Daka jets, and now augmented by Grot bombers.
Oh, did you get those?
I ordered them. They're going to come on Saturday. We're recording on the 12th of December here. So they're going to be coming on Saturday. And I've already realized that not enough grot bombs come in that box. I need 4 more because, of course, I'm going to double up on grot bombs for every plane.
Of course. Why wouldn't you?
So it's a 250-point list for Adepticon's Aeronautica Imperialis thing. And I made a list that's 249 points. So I'm right there. Yep. It's 3 Daka jets, 4 Fight-A-Bombers, and then 2 Grot Bombers with 4 Grot Bombs each. So it's entirely possible that my list will have 17 planes flying around the table at one point with 8 of them suicide bombers.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
that's the right ratio for orcs.
Yeah. So very excited about that, and I actually think they're going to paint up really quickly.
They do paint up really quickly.
I have a plan for that. I'm going to paint them majority red because, of course, red ones and they go faster. And
I have it on good authority that red ones do indeed go faster. Yes.
So I'm thinking of once I get them put together, just grabbing like an army painter red spray paint, and then spraying the models in that, then hitting them with the old Agrax Earthshade. And then picking out like the metallic bits, hitting those with the Nuln Oil, and then maybe picking out some yellow dags and stuff, and do some check marks and the black and white check marks and all that stuff, and then just sponge weathering.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
dry
should
brushing,
be
dry brushing, then sponge weathering. Rather.
Yeah, because I would do like red spray, wash, or just recess wash, depending how you want to do it. Like 2-stage dry brush, one of a lighter red and one of probably bleached bone, like a really light one of a bleached bone type color. Then just doing whatever details you want to do, and then sponge weathering, and you're done.
Yeah, I think that's how far I'll go, and I think that will actually go pretty quickly.
Yeah,
And
it will go
after all,
really
it's
fast.
it's only 17 models, and 8 of them are grot bombs. So not exactly the most difficult models to play there. But again, my Adepticon plans is like I want to have a new Blood Bowl team, so I've got Aeronautica Imperialis and a new Blood Bowl team to put together. Good thing about Blood Bowl is it's only 12 models.
About to say, you've got 30 models picked out before you have to paint by Adepticon, which that's no repulsor, that's no 2,000 points of knights. That's easy.
Yeah, I don't think it will be too much of a problem, unless something crazy happens knocking on my desk here on wood.
Oh, boy.
And notice, Campbell, how you didn't hear me knock on my desk because I have a headset microphone.
Oh, how nice. I heard it very faintly. If I knock on mine, well, you'll know when I knock on mine. I do it every episode. Stay tuned.
So hobby progress for me hasn't been a whole lot. I did move since our last show. So like into a house, not just from another apartment to apartment. So it was a little bit of time before I could get my paint station figured out here, but I've got it set up. I've got my podcast command center set up. So it's working out, man. I'm really excited. So tell me about what you have achieved. And I know I'm going to look like a fool compared to you with your hobby progress in the last 3 weeks.
Well, this has also been, Thanksgiving, a lot of traveling for that sort of stuff, and then a lot of work shit. So it's not quite the cavalcade of hobby progress where I usually commandeer about 15 minutes of the episode for it, but I'll go over it anyhoomst. So
great.
I had a terrain building day with Dylan. So I had this Shrine of the Aquila, the piece of terrain with a big eagle face on it.
Yeah.
That I got on, I think, Something Awful or eBay like a decade ago.
Yeah.
And it was built like fucking trash. Like I couldn't tell from the pictures, but I got it and it was just like, you know how when you cut things out from a sprue, it has this little like spurs sticking out of it?
Yeah.
Those were the contact points.
Oh my God.
So like they didn't even cut those bits off. So nothing went together well at all. And I had spent years, like the thing had become more green stuff than plastic by the time, I had moved it here. And I just pulled it out of, I was like putting some terrain back, and a piece of terrain I actually give a shit about broke. And I just got really frustrated because it was, going in around these Shrine of the Aquila. And I just grabbed the Shrine of the Aquila and I just threw it behind me and it exploded.
Oh my God.
It was actually a really satisfying sound, kind of like dumping a bucket of Legos in the ground.
Hell yeah. So you purposefully nuked your own piece of terrain, even though it was your own bad piece of terrain. And would you say that it was a cathartic experience?
Extremely cathartic. Nice. And then I had the idea, because I've never been satisfied with the damn thing, because it's always looked like shit, because it was a badly built, badly painted secondhand model I got on the internet.
Yeah.
So I was like, Dylan, I've got this palette of bits from this thing. Let's do some stuff. So he came over and just cut some masonite in my basement and put together a bunch of ruins with that sort of thing. And yeah, I would say I advised, but I really was just like, here's a pile of good stuff. Have fun. Because he's, if you do follow 40k Ham Slim on Instagram, you will see that he is really fucking good at building terrain.
I like the idea that you are there just like drinking beers, probably that he brought. Getting increasingly drunker. Well, and be like, now do that. No, do that. No, do that. And Dylan's just like ignoring you and doing his own thing and creating beautiful terrain.
That is 2/3 of a true story, and I will not tell you what third of it is untrue.
There you go. 2 truths and a lie here on the 40k Badcast.
So while he was doing that, though, I built a piece of terrain that I've been dreaming about for a while, which is I want to do sort of like an oil refinery pump house sort of thing.
I love pump house.
The pump house is also the name of my 1-bedroom apartment back in Somerville. So I had the old Prometheum relay pipes or whatever, which I don't think they make anymore. And the Rizza pattern ruins that I won in a tournament at Alpha Omega a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
With like a masonite base that, again, Dylan cut for me a while ago in some plasticard. And I just put together this really cool, like bombed out sort of oil refinery. And it looks awesome. I've primed it. I haven't built it yet, or I haven't painted it yet. But that's going to be like a really playable piece of terrain. Nice. And that was all just stuff we did that day. Other than that, I finished Tigurius, like I said I was going to in the last episode.
Tiggy. Yeah.
Extremely old Tiggy. He has some old man face going on.
Good.
I also
I don't think I've seen a picture of him yet. Have you posted him to Twitter or the usual suspects?
No, I've not. Him and my Phobos captain I've not taken pictures of yet. Much like you, I need to take some photos.
Tonight.
Dude, tonight I also need to take a picture of the 5 veteran intercessors I finished right before this fucking call.
Shit.
Because when we were going to record at like 5:30, I was still working on them. But because we're currently recording at like 8, they're done.
Yeah, listeners, there's been just a slew of things that kept happening to me this evening, including my dad just showing up at my house. And that's kind of what happens when you buy a house 5 minutes from your dad.
I did not know you were that close to your dad. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
If my dad showed up at my house, I'd be like, you drove 2 hours? Why?
No, my dad, it's honestly like a 5-minute drive.
Oh, golly. Well,
yeah.
I did. I painted the first 5 of these intercessors because veteran intercessor squads are like super good. And I wanted to do something kind of interesting with the bolters. I wanted to give them like the red bolters just to be really old school sort of style. But I wanted to still have something cool there because if you know my ultras, all of them have patterns and designs painted on almost all of their bolt guns. Like none of them are just, black bolter casing left alone.
Yep.
So with this one, I got all these I started painting all these little swirl patterns on there. I sent a picture to you earlier, but I don't think it really showed up too well there. They're super subtle. And because of all things, they were inspired by like Gucci prints. Like the inside of like a Gucci bag will sometimes have this sort of tessellated sort of print. Which is why this squad is officially Squad Scipio. But after painting them this way, I have to call the Sergeant Gucci Gallo.
Oh, that's right, listeners. I have sound effects buttons on my board now, and I can play the Tarantella in real time. So
on demand.
Yeah, that's they look fantastic. I'm looking at the picture you sent right now. I love the enormous Thunderhammer you chose for your Sergeant.
The Mark III Thunderhammer is the cool looking Thunderhammer that doesn't look like a giant squeaky toy.
Yeah, it's got like an extra long haft too.
My nickname in college.
You got to have a good long haft.
You got to have a long haft. If you want to have a hammer handle, you got to have a long haft.
40k Badcast 62, a good long haft. There it is, pull quote.
40k Badcast 62, a refusal to pull up.
It's always good when you get the pull quote in the first 15 minutes of the show.
Well, speaking of pulling up, I did also magnetize the flight stands for all my Aeronautic Imperialis planes because the way I had built them, they didn't really want to stick on the rounded plastic nubbins on the flight stands, so I just clipped the balls off, stuck. Wow. Okay. The vet's office is that way. Clipped the clear plastic orbs off, glued some magnets on and sunk some magnets into the sort of sockets for that. So those all just click on and off now because I played a few games of Aeronautica Imperialis, which I'll get to in a minute, where none of my planes decided to stay on those fucking things. So I had like a Marauder bomber at the level of the base because I could not have it go any higher than that.
I did see that actually in a picture you posted, and I was curious about that. So are you done with hobby progress? Should we move on to games played?
Yeah, we can move on to games played, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, you're up, bud.
Oh, shit. Well, I played 2 games of Aeronautica Imperialis.
Very good.
I played both of them with Dylan. We just had a hangout day, and we decided to just do a pair of dogfights. Mm-hmm. And, like, you haven't played yet, have you?
No, I have not. Though
okay.
I'm super excited about the game. I really want to play. I've read through the rules a bajillion times, and I've played the original edition.
Okay.
So
he had played the original too, but I had not.
I think it will not take me very long at all to figure out how to play it, and maybe even, Campbell, play it well.
Ooh, that's something I can't even say I can do.
No.
Both games went...
Unless you have like 4 knights on the table. We all know what happens to your games.
Yeah, well,
also, unless you're playing somebody...
I table my opponent and I lose on points, yeah.
Unless you're playing somebody who you love deeply and who is like just an incredible human who does a great job in the community and like gives to charity and stuff, and then you just completely dumpster them because you're a monster.
Jeez, the list of names in my head is growing longer and longer by the moment, and I can't pin down the moment you're talking about anymore. Well, speaking of, I will be doing an army showcase article on my House Lakar Knights for Goonhammer in the very short future, so keep your eyes out for that. So as for this game, the first game took 45 minutes, and by the time when it was over, it was like gripping. I had 1 Marauder bomber with 1 structure point remaining, and that was it. Ooh. Like, it was tense, it was fast, it was really fun. It was, again, 100-point game, just the dogfight scenario out of the book, or out of the box set. So it's just, again, like the box set forces pretty much. So he's got 3 Daka Jets, 2 Fight-A-Bombers, I've got 2 Marauders, 2 Thunderbolts. So game 2, I was like, if I don't go fast from the start, I do much better. So he came to me, and then I'm just like, cool, I'm now in medium range. And I just shot down 2 Daka Jets in my first 2 shooting activations, and he was able to scramble his way back up and take down 2 of my planes, but by the end of the game, I still had planes and he didn't. So I discovered my pro move here, which is a very Campbell move, is it's called being bad at planning and being very confused. So you pick a number seemingly at random from your ace maneuvers, and you deal with the consequences when that plane comes up.
Okay.
Because I'm like, shit, I don't know if I want a 1, 2, or 3. I'll just grab randomly and I'll make that choice when I need to. So that was a good move. It seemed to carry me pretty well here. And as for my sort of first impressions of this, I will say it was fun. It was fast. I liked it a lot, but I haven't yet. Again, this is just the most basic scenario. So like altitude barely even played into it because you don't need to drop up or down. You're just flying at each other and shooting at each other. And I don't think it'll be one of my main games like 40k or Sigmar or Necro gets to be, but it was still like, it's a fun palate cleanser. Like, it's a great way to spend, under an hour on a very fast moving game.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to giving it a shot and playing it at Adepticon.
Well, I know Eric Beers wants to play with one and or both of us at Adepticon, so I'll probably my tiny planes. They do not take much space.
Old Beersy?
Yeah. I've been talking about planes all week.
Well, tell old Beersy to sign up for the fucking Aeronautica Imperialis battle on Friday.
I would, but no one needs to hear me mashing away at the keyboard right this minute. So
yeah, well, he'll listen to the show, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and he'll get
better.
The message.
He is a friend of ours, a good friend of ours. Good friends listen to our show. Do you hear that, Glenn?
It's the truth.
It is the truth. So aside from that, I played 2 games of Age of Sigmar versus Cody, my Empire versus his Beast Call Raiders, which basically just entailed my poor lads in their pajamas and flintlock rifles getting bulldozed by ogres.
Nice.
I'm kind of not feeling my Empire army anymore because they're very static and not very exciting to play, which is why I'm very excited about the new Slaves to Darkness stuff. So
I was about to say, fortunately, there's a big old muscle bunch coming down the pipe for you.
Yeah, it is just like plate mail and abs as hard as plate mail. It's exactly what I want out of an army. So I'll be moving into those guys probably into the new year. When I finish up with my Marines, whenever that is, I'll get onto these guys. Beyond that, I actually played some 40k.
What?
So I've mentioned a few times in the last couple episodes that our good friend of the show, Spencer Connell, was running a Nova narrative style event at Hobby Bunker. Mm-hmm. And while it didn't have the big overarching story that everyone kind of knew as much. Like there was a story to it, but I kind of missed a bit of it. I'll be honest. I'm sorry, Spencer. It was still Nova narrative mission. So it was like the shuttle crash one, the oil refinery one, and then the Bulldog one. So I'll mention those when they happen. So the first one was against his brother Nick Connell and his 1,000 Suns. So a shuttle comes in turn 2, drops a bunch of objectives, and you just kind of want to scramble to take the objectives. It's pretty cool, but a bit unpredictable as to where the shuttle is going to show up. So he deploys his 1,000 Suns across the center of the field. He has like a Leviathan, a bunch of regular 1,000 Suns on foot, and then a squad of, I shit you not, 10 fucking 1,000 Suns Terminators to deep strike, which is like 500, 600 point just Death Star unit.
Wow.
Yeah, and 1,000 Suns kind of need the bodies on the table to have some board control that Zangors give. So having 10 of those guys. 1 second.
Was that a cat?
Newbie! Why'd you break?
That's staying. This is all staying in, listeners. Cam will probably put his headphones down. He can't hear this, but
Newbie!
It's staying in.
Just some Christmas decorations. Nothing big. Nothing big.
Okay, that's good.
All right, cool. Anyhow, yeah, he had like a Leviathan Dreadnought, bunch of Marines on foot, bunch of Marines deep striking, Ahriman, and an Exalted Sorcerer. So it's like, and this is only a 1,500 point list. So his army is like super
Tiny.
small.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got like a pretty standard battle pile plus some Vanguard elements, including the Invictor Tactical Warsuit, which is pretty dope.
Oh, I want one so bad.
Oh, it's such a fun model, and build it the dumbest way you can. I implore you. So he had first turn, so I just hid because I don't want to get shot by a Leviathan. I used transhuman physiology on the one squad of air sisters he could shoot, and that strength 8 does not matter. I just bounce everything off.
Yeah.
But I just like sweep in with my Vanguard guys, turn 2 rolls around, Tactical Doctrine comes in, and that just starts melting his whole army.
Yeah.
Like he drops the 10 Terminators down to try and kill my Repulsor, which doesn't work. So I just hold them off with Aggressors and a 5-man Intercessor squad, which is ridiculous. When a 10-man Terminator squad is getting punked by 3 Aggressors, like my dice were hot, his were not, and Aggressors are really fucking good, especially in the Tactical Doctrine, especially when they're Ultramarines.
Well, yeah, but you've got like a bajillion shots, and AP -1 and AP -2 turn Terminators, like especially AP -2 with the Intercessors.
Yep.
That turns a 2-up into a 4-up.
And please, I don't just have a billion shots. I have a billion shots twice because they always count as standing still.
Yeah. Ultramarines, what are you going to do, huh?
Yeah, in this case, get tabled because I tabled him on turn 3. I won 20-0. I was just able to isolate his forces effectively, and he didn't have the numbers or the speed for board control. Now, game 2 was against Tom and his, bear with me here, Horus Heresy Iron Warriors counting as Black Legion. So it was like a Horus Heresy Iron Warriors army, but using Black Legion rules up to and including, I think Siege Tyrant Terminators counts as Terminators with combo plasmas, and Perturabo counts as Abaddon, which the model is about the same size. I'll be straight up.
Okay. This is getting close to a segment we're doing later in the show.
Unfortunately true. But this did raise my eyebrow right from the start because like a whole army it's all counts as, I'm kind of iffy about this. Like it was nicely painted, but once he explained everything to me, I kind of like it was fine once he explained everything to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, nothing changed. Nothing was like suddenly this guy has a melta gun or instead of a plasma gun or whatever. Like it was all just once I did the conversion, I was fine. So again, I hid for turn 1 to hide from all his havocs and his contemptor with autocans or whatever.
Yeah.
So I denied him that first right point, but that means all his guys are out in the open because they're trying to come to me. So I was able to get that back. And then turn 2, he drops in, what do you know again? 10 Terminators, because that's apparently the number of the day, with combo plasmas and chain axes with like a sorcerer. So they have like Prescience and Veterans of the Long War and Endless Cacophony, like the usual like 3 or 4 command point, just big old heavy invest into a Death Star unit.
Yeah.
And they do kill my Repulsor right then, which I was dumb and forgot that I have Auspex scan because that would have made my aggressors like really good because it was right in front of my aggressors. But oh well, this isn't the 40k Badcast. But the thing is,
funny, right before you just mentioned this, I was going to say like, did you suddenly get good at 40k? Like what's happening?
No, God, no. I'm out of practice. I'm out of practice and I was bad to begin with. So at this point, he's got, Abaddon and a bunch of dudes near my Vanguard forces, and then this big blob of Terminators right in front of my main army, and he fails every charge. So all his dudes are out in the open, and I'm able to just like take it to him. I'm able to cut through a bunch of the Terminators, not all of them, because he gave them like a Feel No Pain spell too.
Yeah.
I make the very poor decision to charge my Invictor and 10 Infiltrators into Abaddon, who kills all of them.
Yeah, he's real good, dude.
I didn't know he was that good, so joke's on me, I guess. Now, although Abaddon did kill that whole lot of them, the Invictor Warsuit did get like a good punch in and did bloody Abaddon's nose.
Nice.
Which means Abaddon came towards my main line. And who is anchoring down my main line? This is only 1,500 points. No, Marnius Calgar is staying at home. No, it is Chaboy Vulpus Volci hanging out in the middle of the field. And Abaddon comes right for him, charges him. And
God, I love this fucking button.
The 3-up invulnerable save bounces off everything Abaddon throws at him, and Vulpus just fucking decks him and takes that Abaddon. So that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So we drink all the fuel from our objectives because the Oladipo mission. And at the end of the game is just like two of my characters hiding and one character in his Havoc's hiding on his side of the table. And like the points just like the dust settles and I'm barely ahead like 16-14 or something like that.
Very nice.
It was a very good game. There were some great moments again with like all the characters doing their whole thing and me finding out just what a motherfucker Abaddon is.
Yeah.
And it was a very good time.
Awesome.
And now, game 3 was against Mark and his Maple Leaves White Scars. You might be thinking, Maple Leaves White Scars? What does that mean? This is an army painted to look like the hockey team. Every single model was named and numbered corresponding to a real-life Canadian hockey player. They had their name tag on top of their backpack and the number on the back of their backpack. Their display board was a hockey rink. All of them were on like clear acrylic on top of like gloss white, so it looks like they were all on a hockey rink. Wow. And he was wearing a matching Maple Leafs jersey.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, this is a dedication to a theme that I can only respect.
I feel like this is, as far as like sports fans go, I feel like this is something that really only happens with hockey fans. Where like you don't really see, maybe every now and then you see like a football themed 40k army but like you never see a baseball theme.
You can be the change you want to see in the world, Dan.
I'm not going to. I'm going to keep my two hobbies separate. The way God intended.
That's okay. I'll be coming down to your place sometime soon with an Elven Union team painted like the Orioles.
Oh, God, why?
He was. I've never.
Why would you curse your own team like that?
I saw an Orioles game when I was like 4. I remember being at a ballpark and eating a hot dog.
Camden Yards is beautiful. No joke. That's one of the best ballparks in the United States. But come on, even Orioles fans hate the Orioles.
Dude, I saw a car with Massachusetts plates and and the Massachusetts plates said NY Mets, and I'm like, I'm very confused about your identity right now.
Oh wow, it was Yankees. That car would be burned.
Maybe they're just trying to throw the scent off.
With Mets, it's just like, why?
With Mets, it's like, I'm sorry, honey. Are you okay?
Anytime somebody actually cops to being a Mets fan, part of me is always like, but why? You could just remain anonymous.
So anyway, I've never played against White Scars
Sorry to interrupt.
Before. Oh, dude, I interrupted me too. Like, you can't own me. I owned me first. So I've never played against White Scars before. So I was shocked on turn 1 when not only had they done me a bamboozle and gotten into my deployment zone, but they also killed like a third of my army. Yeah,
just wait until turn 3 when all of their shit does double damage in combat.
Well, turn 3 is when my strategy comes in, because turn 2, I've already lost the game. I know I've lost the game. There's no way I'm going to win this game. He's already killed all my characters, blown up my repulsor, been unnervingly accurate with meltaguns, which in my experience have never hit a single time.
Yeah.
And he's just got these bikes just driving around the field. And I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I know. What would Obi-Wan do in this situation? He would take the high ground.
Oh, God.
Because motorcycles can't climb. And also, if you pile all your Marines on top of buildings where no one can physically fit to charge them, they can't get charged.
It's true.
So, like, turns 3 through 7 were my guys on top of buildings just, like, shooting down at White Scars or falling back from assaults up a few floors to again shoot down at White Scars and fight this ridiculous guerrilla war to take out his fast attack and HQ choices to at least score some points.
Basically, you were playing the floor is lava.
I was playing the floor is lava because the floor was White Scars, which may as well be the same thing.
I guess in this case, against a hockey-themed White Scars, the floor was ice.
Oh, well, most of my guys got iced because Wayne Gretzky was flying around casting psychic powers.
That's right. I have a rim shot button, too.
You do have a rim shot button, which you will only use for your own jokes because mine are too bad to deserve it.
I just used it for yours.
Oh, fuck. I forgot already.
God, fuck you, dude. Yeah, we are well on our way to becoming the wacky morning radio show, 40k Badcast, and I could not be happier.
No, this is the podcast we were always destined to become. Like, really, it was written in the prophecy that the 40k Badcast would become the morning zoo of the Warhammer podcasting sphere.
Whatever, dude. I will gladly inhabit that niche, and I do not give a fuck.
Do I sound upset by this information, Daniel? Oh, Danny boy.
Oh, Danny boy. We should get that as a sound effect. Too bad.
Oh, we shouldn't.
Too bad.
Anywho, oh my God. Do you have a toilet flush button on there too? Because it's not complete to this toilet flush button.
Fucking will.
Okay, I'm also a big fan of, damn son, where'd you find this? The Call of Duty hit sound and just that.
Oh, I should get some air horns.
Dub air horns.
All right.
So anyway,
Enough
I
of
lose
that.
this game real bad, like 20-6, but it was still a very fun time with a very fun opponent. And I did so well that I got the double agent award for scoring the fewest points for my own team in this narrative event.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah, I'm the real winner here.
The real winner is, well, no, it's not you.
The real winner was the friends made along the way, because I did see a lot of people who I'd actually seen before or met before. I met a few listeners like Brian and Kenji who were super cool. Got to hang out and have some chats with some of those folks. And although the only listener I played against was Nick Connell, it was still cool to hang out with all these people.
That sounds wonderful, man.
It was.
All right. Are you done? Is it my turn?
That is all the games I have played.
Fantastic. I have actually played some 40K this time, listeners.
Good gravy.
My first game since Nova, my first game with the Raven Guard supplement. My friend Patrick came down from New York City where he lives. He was on a business trip and he said, hey, man, let's get a game. And so I said, hey, fuck yeah, let's do it. And we got a game. Went to Games Workshop Springfield.
Nice.
And his Space Wolves and my Raven Guard clashed in a 1,500 point game. It was a ton of fun, but I learned a couple things about Raven Guard in this game.
Is that they're fucking good?
Yeah, they're real fucking good, and characters die if the Raven Guard look at them mean.
Did you have Phobos Captain in there?
I did not. I had 3 Eliminators, and I had my Stalker Lieutenant. Mm-hmm. And I gave him the Ex Tenebris relic, which is, get this, an Assault 3, Strength 4, 36-inch range, Damage 2, AP -2, Stalker Bolter.
Ooh.
With, the Raven Guard stuff on the Tactical Doctrine, +1 to hit and wound against characters.
Nothing says sniper rifle like it being fully automatic.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then you combine that with the Eliminators, and it was just a bad time for Patrick's characters. Also, the Phobos Librarian is so fucking good.
Really?
Yeah, I brought the Phobos one in purely for Tenebrous Curse.
Oh, that's the one that slows down other units, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's half move, half advance, half charge.
Okay.
It's a range 18 and warp charge 6. So it's going to go off. And when it goes off, and he had a Wolfen Dreadnought that he had put very aggressively up front, and I locked it down for a turn with that and got to ignore it, basically.
Nice.
And I brought my Repulsor Executioner, but he brought his. I went first, so I managed to get a shot on it. I had to move 10 inches though with my repulsor, so I didn't get the cool 4 shots with my main gun, but I took it down to I bracketed it to the middle bracket, and that really reduced its effectiveness, because then if he's shooting at any of my infantry, he's hitting on 5s if they recover. Because Raven Guard, that chapter trait, a lot of people were like, oh, it got nerfed. It's real fucking good, y'all. Mm-hmm. So it was a good game. Patrick's a great guy. So, we had a lot of fun. Then we got tacos and beers afterwards.
Nice.
So it was definitely a good time. And I tell you what, man, that game actually got me pretty excited to play some more 40k because, gosh, the Raven Guard are just fucking good. That supplement's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you're getting that too. Like playing 40k with my Ultramarines really jazzes me up to play more 40k.
It's great when you fucking stumble ass backwards into a good army.
Yeah, going from 0 to hero as far as your rules are concerned is a nice feeling.
It's very cool. So I also played some Necromunda because the Winter of Malcontents campaign is in full blast right now. We've just finishing up. Tomorrow's the last day of round 1. We're starting round 2 on Saturday, and like I have played 2 games. And I learned this whole fucking 3 weeks I've been learning a lot. But I learned that intrigues in the Law and Misrule campaign, which are this mechanic, it's a deck of cards. You draw 3 before each game, and they give you additional objectives during the game. And 2 of them I got. One of my guys is a turncoat, and my opponent gets to take control of him. And then I have to take him out of action at the end of the game. And the reward, Campbell, 150 credits.
That, depending who is the turncoat, could be really bad.
The turncoat is randomly determined.
Oh, cool. I can't wait for my champion to become a trader. My 200 cred champion to become a trader.
Well, one of my bolt gunners, a ganger with a bolt gun became a trader. And he definitely took 2 dudes to seriously injured on the turn that he turned traitor and shot my guys up. Ooh. So this kind of game, like this game swung wildly. At first, it was the trap scenario, which is kind of an unbalanced game where one gang, the defender, starts off in the middle of the game board because it's a Zone Mortalis game, so it's with the tiles, not the Sector Mechanicus on a 4x4.
The Sector Mechanicus, yeah.
The Sector Ed Mechanicus.
Sector Vince Mechanicus when the Goliaths come to town.
There you go. So, and I've basically got to break out and take his gang down. And so the beginning of the game, it looks pretty rough for the Golden Archies, my gang. And Dylan has this fantastic gang. It's a Venator's gang based on Baldur's Gate.
You mentioned that last episode. Are they like coming along now?
Well, here's what happened. The game turned out to be very close. And there's a couple of misplays on Dylan's part. He got a little too close to a duct at one point, and one of my combat shotgun guys ran over and blasted a shredder salvo or whatever, a shredder round through it, which is a template, so it hits anybody on the other side within 2 inches of the duct.
Hell yeah.
And it killed his leader.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like dead?
Mm-hmm. Well, critically injured, but he couldn't take her to the doctor because all of his other champions were in recovery.
Oh my God.
Or also critically injured. Yeah, so I critically injured a champion, his leader, put his other champion in recovery. I think I put 2 more gangers in recovery. And like, it was like the game was close. Like I had a lot of people out of action. He had a lot of people out of action, but the injury rolls for him were just brutal.
I mean, you know what happens in Baldur's Gate when your player character dies, right?
The game is over and you have to reload. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So he had a tough one in that battle, which it was honestly, it was a feel bad game because I didn't completely dumpster him. It was a close game. It's just that the rolls went real bad for him at the end. And hey, that's fucking Necromunda, right?
That's Necromunda.
Yeah. So I did play another game against Scott, who's got an enforcer gang in the campaign, and they have very good armor saves.
So I've heard.
Yeah. So they were like running around with a bunch of 3-up saves in the front arc, and I'm like, I don't have a ton of weapons that can deal with this well. And also, like, fully half my gang was in recovery for this.
Oh, God.
Because, again, the first game I played against Dylan, it was a bloody mess.
Yeah.
But because I scored the intrigue that gave me 150 credits, and then I scored another one that gave me another 50 credits, I had enough money to buy an Ambot after one game.
That's insane.
So I did.
Yeah, you did. Why wouldn't you? Okay, so cops have 3-up saves, but how do they deal with ambots?
Well, this game, again, this was a kind of an interesting game. Is the looter, Forgotten Riches, not looters, but Forgotten Riches game, where loot caskets are scattered across the board, and the ambot can infiltrate, right? Mm-hmm. And another one of my guys can infiltrate. And so they like came off on like kind of the far side and went after a couple of loot crates and were kind of out of the battle for the most part because they were off getting things away. But Scott, my very smart and handsome opponent, decided that he would take the Zone Mortalis tile with the Chaos Ritual circle on it and put it like right in the middle of the action.
Ooh.
This thing is probably the most dangerous of all the dangerous terrain tiles, because if you end within 6 inches of the circle of the tile, not the center, but the circle, it's a huge footprint. You have to take a willpower test or become insane.
What does insanity do?
So insanity, you roll a dice at the beginning of your activation. On a 1 or 2, the fighter breaks and they have to run for cover.
Okay.
On a 3 or 4, the opposing player gets to control them for their activation.
Neat.
And on a 5 or 6, they get to act as normal. And if they pass another willpower check at the end of their activation, they lose the insanity condition.
Okay.
So he had his Prometheum Guild friends come out, and like they ran across the insanity tile. And immediately I got to take 2 of them. And it just really slowed his roll down big time. The game was still close. It wasn't nearly as bloody as our first game against Dylan, but I ended up barely scraping out the win. I got 3 loot crates. He got 2 loot crates, and I permanently killed another one of his characters. It was just a regular enforcer, but he got critically injured, got taken to the dock, and then he rolled for the doctor and rolled a 1, which is he's dead anyways.
Yeah, he's dead, Jim.
So now my permanent kill count is at 3.
Nice.
In this campaign. And I've won 2 games. And I'm sitting on a little bit of cash right now because I haven't decided on where I want to go for round 2. But the gang is looking strong at the moment.
Nice.
And the rest of my players seem to have had a ton of fun. I feel really bad for Dylan. His gang has got... He played... On the second game, he went and played a corpse grinder gang.
Oh. Well,
yeah.
He hasn't... never mind. He's not the enforcer guy. He's the
Venators. Baldur's Gate squad. Yeah. And the Corpse Grinder gang did what Corpse Grinder gangs do.
They ground corpses. Mostly.
So Dylan's gang is kind of hurting right now. I have to think up a way. But he's out on a tropical island for the rest of December. So he's like spiritually fine. So I just got to figure out when he comes back, like what I can do, help him get him back into the fight here, because he's lagging behind a little bit in rating. But round 2 is starting up soon. It's a 3-week round, not a 2-week round, because of the holidays, and want to give everybody time to get their 1 game in. And yeah, it's great, man. I'm really excited. We're having a lot of fun playing Necromunda. I'm about to paint some more Necromunda guys for my gang here, and then paint Ambot for our downtime games, and then I can get on to Adepticon painting.
Nice. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to new stuff. Now, listeners, I'm going to be honest with you. It's the 40k Badcast. Honesty is a core value, of course. Mm-hmm. I forgot to put new stuff in my show notes.
My new stuff is, let me see. Let me just check here real quick. And it's, I think it says just, Grot Bombers are cool.
Yeah, well, Grot Bombers are cool. Chapter Approved 2019 came out, and that probably has some balance changes. The formatting is really nice. They've changed that up a little bit.
I haven't looked at it yet.
Well, but other podcasts are going to talk about Chapter Approved and all the stuff that happens with that. So we're not going to fucking touch it. So let's move on.
All right, cool.
Okay, we're going to let's make a call.
That sounds like a good plan. That sounds like a good call to make a call.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm reacting to my own attempt at a joke or your drum snare. Anyway.
All right.
Do what you do.
This one's from Scion Hopes via email. If you could take a character from 40k lore and bring them into the real world and make them your best friend, who would you choose?
Okay. I can go first in this one.
Please do.
I'm going to go with Dread Gobbo. So here's the thing. This time of year, having somebody who's looking out for you, ready to give you gifts, ready to give gifts to all your friends, like holiday shopping, taken care of. Your own holiday shopping, you don't need to worry about disseminating your list to all of the people in your life who might be like, ooh, what should I get you for the holidays? No, he's got you covered. And for the other 11 months of the year, he's going to be by your side, helping you, armed revolution overthrow your oppressors, which is really nice. I could use a lot of that right now, as I'm sure most of our English listeners could also handle these days.
Yeah, bad news out of Britain. On here, the 12th of December, 2019. Sorry, gang. Hopefully this podcast will distract you from all that bullshit.
Hopefully every poll was wrong.
Dread Gobbo is a great choice. A socialist hero coming out. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. So I was actually thinking orcs too.
Okay.
But I was thinking Wazdaka, Gutsmech.
Oh, because he can turn your bikes into troops.
Exactly, because he's got a motorcycle, I've got a motorcycle, and we could go on rides together and, pillage stuff and raid and, turn the world into the Road Warrior. And what would fucking be cooler than that?
But so we're already halfway there. Now, here's the thing. There was a dude on DACA years ago, and DACA.com. Okay, whatever. It's a forum with all the garbage that entails. But there were some good hobby projects, and this one dude turned his motorcycle into an orc, DACA bike. He had a big orc glyph, skull plate over the front of it. It looked straight up like an in real life orc bike without the machine guns on it, because it still had to be street legal.
Hell yeah.
So I think finding that guy might actually be the closest you could get to your Wazdaka Gutsmech in real life. And for me, I would need to find, I guess, a tiny socialist sugar daddy, which is also probably my next Twitter handle.
Tiny socialist sugar dad. That's really good. All right, Simon, I hope that answers your question. We both chose greenskins because, of course, we did. So before we get on to our first segment of the show, I do want to touch on one thing. Adepticon registration has opened. It opened up last weekend on the 8th of December, and I just want to talk about what events we're doing.
Yeah.
Or events we're not doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Wednesday, Games Workshop Studio Preview.
Same.
And arriving, I guess.
Also that.
Yes.
That's an
arriving
event.
Via plane. We need to coordinate with our Warhammer father.
Our ham dad does need to know where we are all times. It's 9:00. Do you know where your ham children are? Gee, for him, it's 6. It's fine.
I'm gonna make him bring podcasting equipment this time.
Hell yeah.
Twice now. Okay, Thursday. Thursday is usually when we play in the Gallant GT.
Right. But that isn't there this year.
Unfortunately, they were not invited back. I've heard because of space. They needed more space for the 40k championships or something. I think this is a huge mistake, personally.
I agree. Having that breadth of events is super important.
Yeah, so they are not doing a narrative event on Thursday at Adepticon. The Gallant GT is not happening. I am quite sad about that. I don't really want to criticize the guys over at Adepticon because they do a really good job, but this is really too bad because Ken and John, the guys that run that thing, they've done a fantastic job for the 2 years that we've gone, right?
Yeah. And the one that you went without me too, I think you're in there too.
Yeah, so the 3 years, yeah. And they're really nice guys, so it's too bad about that.
I mean, I think you can get away with saying you've made a mistake or you're disappointed in a decision they made without being overly critical. I think that's perfectly fair. I agree with you wholeheartedly, though. I think not having that event is a misstep because it is a very fun event.
So on Thursday, I've signed up for a Necromunda tournament, which I don't actually like the time of. It starts at 3 p.m. and goes till 9 p.m.
Weird.
I kind of don't like that, but our friend Craig has talked about maybe getting a one-day Blackstone Fortress campaign going. And if he wants to do that, if he wants to GM that, then I am in. And hopefully you won't bully me with your metal husband like you did last year.
With my one-eyed metal husband. Yeah, I'll find a weaker, weedier character to choose from.
All right, so what are you doing on Thursday?
Nothing. I've got nothing there.
Okay.
I've got that Blackstone Fortress thing tentatively with Greg since we are in the same group chat with him, but I've got no formal events signed up for that day.
Okay. Let's move on to Friday. Now, this is what I'm really excited about.
This is the big day.
I am not taking part in the 40k friendly.
We have talked about your experiences in friendly events where I usually have fun and you are there sad getting owned by space elves or what have you. So yep. I understand why you were not in the friendly, although I will miss you there. It is going to be a fun time, I expect.
I'm sure. I'm not playing any 40k at Adepticon this time.
Right. So you are traveling light, potentially.
I'm traveling a lot lighter, yeah. So I will be playing Aeronautica Imperialis on Friday, which is, of course, a new system for me. I don't have anything painted for, so I've got to get going on all that. But I'm confident I can get that stuff done. And I'm really excited to play a new specials game in a tournament format.
Yeah, it's made for tournaments very well. Like, it is a very cut and dry sort of game, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, it's a fast-playing game. I think it'll do very well for a tournament environment.
And I'm excited to get dumpstered.
You probably will, but that's all the fun of it. Your orcs,
excited.
systematic.
It'll be a good time. So you are, of course, doing the friendly on Friday.
Correct. The Spaceballs themed 40k friendly.
It's a good theme, too.
It is a good theme. I'm expecting, I don't remember that guy's name, but the dude who did the Rodents of Unusual Size army for the Princess Bride themed one last year, I expect him to pull out all the stops this time.
Oleg.
Which, fortunately, Cadians already have the same helmets.
Oh, it's Oleg.
Oleg. Okay. I've met the guy twice.
Man.
So
that guy fucking rules. All right. And then Saturday and Sunday, as usual, I will be playing Blood Bowl in the Super Bowl 13. And I will be bringing a new team, the Baja Blasters.
Hell yeah.
My pro elf team, which I think I'm being too cute to actually win a whole lot of games. I think that I'm thinking that I'm smarter than Blood Bowl conventional wisdom. And I'm like, well, I can win with the passing game. I'm good enough at this game to win by throwing. But the truth is that throwing is not the way to win in Blood Bowl. So I'm probably, again, going to get dumpstered. But hey, fuck it, man. It's Blood Bowl.
You have those expectations now, and that's what's important.
I'm not too worried about it. I'm not attached to my Blood Bowl medal. Actually, that's not true. I have it hanging up in my basement here. I see it. My third place Blood Bowl medal from last year. God, I want first so bad.
Dude, well,
I want it.
Speaking of medals, I assume you two have signed up for the most important event in all of Adepticon.
Oh, we have to defend our championship at 40k Trivia.
40k Trivia, which the title is insane for that event, and I feel like it was tailor-made for us.
Well, it's something about Fulgrim's Cabernet.
Yeah, it's like Fulgrim's Incredible Cabernet, and I'm like, yeah, that's got me written all over it.
Yeah, but I think they meant to do Cabaret because Cabernet is a type of wine.
Yeah.
Well, technically, it's a type of grape.
Okay.
So I think they meant to do Cabaret, but hey, you know what? It's cool. Cabaret. Let's all have a party and feel real gay.
Sure. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Cabernet at the Cabaret. So,
and now, of course, Saturday and Sunday, you are just going to fuck around and pal around.
I'm just going to fucking kick it, man. I've got a game marked with Carl Tuttle. I think Eric Beers wants to play Tiny Planes with us, as I mentioned before, so I'll probably find the time to do that. I, believe it or not, did not sign up for 40k laser tag for children, which is a curiously prevalent thing on the Adepticon event list when you search for 40k. There's like a lot.
It runs like twice a day, every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of 40k laser tag for children, which honestly,
I don't even know what it is.
Sounds dope as hell. Like if I was a kid, I would be super into that. But yeah, I'll be there mostly for pickup games and so on. So if you want to have a game with your second favorite D-list Warhammer 40,000 podcaster, Shaboy is here and ready for games. Just hit me up. I'll be around.
Hit him up. Do 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 do. Real ones know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's move on to our first segment. Oh my God, it's more than 50 minutes into the show.
We got some we've had some catching up to do.
So Campbell, you have decided that you want to intro this segment that we're calling 9 Circles of Hobby Hell.
Well, see, Dan, that's the bad news. We've both died and gone to hell.
Oh no!
I know. Turns out God really isn't a fan of either ska or anime.
Oh, but come on. I've been a ska devotee since I was a young lad. This is terrible news. I don't know what I'm going to do.
And I've been a piece of weeb garbage since at least the age of 11. Oh no, that's when I stopped going to church. Shit.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together now.
Now we're understanding.
Damn it. Well,
okay.
Before everything goes numb, I have to tell you that there is some good news.
What's the good news?
They have Warhammer in Hell.
Oh, good.
The problem is,
I feel like it's not going to be good Warhammer in Hell.
That's the thing. It's one of those ironic punishments. It's all the worst parts of the hobby that you've ever experienced, all in one place.
I feel like the devil, he's down there and he sees us coming and he's like, these guys, hey, fellas, over here. Listen, I know you might be upset about being in hell, but come on. And he leads us around the corner. It's like, here it is, our very own game store. And you guys can paint, you guys can model, you guys can play for eternity. And you and I are thinking to ourselves, hey, this is a pretty good deal. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. And the devil's like, he's back there being like, these fucking jamokes, they don't know what's in for them.
So let's head over to the infernal local game store and play against Marquis de Sade or whatever. So at the first so here's the thing with the 9 circles of Hobby Hell, as it were, is they aren't quite the traditional Dante Alighieri circles where they're concentric. They're just kind of all free floating. I don't know which is the worst of these, but I haven't been here for very long, so I can't really tell you yet. But
yeah, so I imagine these 9 circles of Hobby Hell, we're just going to rattle them off, perhaps?
Something like that. Might kind of spend a minute or two in some of them, but we're going to try to stay out of there because, man, it's kind of hot. So the first circle of Hobby Hell is one where every model is a metal plastic hybrid model.
Oh, no.
And the metal Land Raider Crusader meta is real. Oh, no. You got to have metal Land Raider Crusaders. You just got to have them.
Was that the plastic Land Raider kit with the metal Hurricane bolters?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, no, that's the worst thing.
I didn't know how to pin when my friend got that model, and he was just like, dude, just glue this together for me. And we used like half a bottle of Zap Gap in that fucking thing. It was more glue than tank at that point.
I remember the days when I was a little kid and I would get a hold of like those Space Marine torsos and legs.
Yeah.
And you would get the plastic arms and weapons and stuff and put them on there, and just gluing my fingers together all the fucking time because I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And like, it was just so hard to get those things to stick.
Dude, my friend Ross's first model was the metal Treebeard from the Lord of the Rings range.
Oh, God. Oh.
Now,
he still plays?
Yeah, I know. It didn't send him out of the hobby immediately.
Wow.
I guess when you're young, you have the patience. So
champion.
Sticking your fingers together, super glue, that's kid stuff. What's the next circle here of Hobby Hell?
Oh, this one is actually kind of the opposite. Because every model you paint is as hydrophobic as unwashed Forge World resin.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
The first time I got a Forge World bit was like a special thing. I'm like, cool, these doors for my tank. And I didn't know you had to wash Forge World resin before like priming it even. So I'm just painting it with a brush over bare resin and just watching the paint just displace and turn to air.
Yep. Yeah, I do. I also remember the first Forge World experience I had. Even just priming these things, it just slides off.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's
ugh.
So here's the thing. No portrayal of hell is omits physical pain, and nothing is more painful than the cities of Death Spires. Which
it's true.
What
Those
do you know?
Spiky little motherfuckers.
All terrain is as sharp as the old cities of Death Spires.
See, that would be very difficult for me personally because I have a let's just say robust way of speaking and gesturing. And I would feel like I would be impaling my hands on terrain nonstop.
Well, the problem is everyone you play against is going to be super anal about true line of sight, so you're going to have to get down there.
Oh, no. Poke my eyes out.
I've come real close. God. There was a dimple in my, I think, right temple for a good amount of time after I got a little too close.
Oh, wow. That's rough. All right, so what do we got next?
As we all know from No Exit, hell is indeed other people. And that is going to be exemplified by the clientele at the Infernal local game store.
Oh, God, I can't imagine it's good.
So imagine you're sitting at a table, you're about to get a game in, and the person says, epic win. And their army is Angry Marines. And everyone at the store speaks entirely in dated memes that weren't even funny in 2004. But, you know, the only thing worse than the people who are going off in these wretched, decrepit, ancient, buried memes are the onlookers, because you can't play a game without at least 3 to 4 people who haven't played since 3rd edition watching and commentating and telling you how to play your game.
Does that mean our friend Richie P is there in attendance?
I mean, he's in good company.
So here's something for you. At my first Nova, I played an Angry Marines list.
Oh,
which is to say, I didn't bring one and play it. I played against one.
Of course.
And it was the only game I won.
You didn't win. You played against Angry Marines.
I did. I beat Angry Marines with Mech Guard in 7th edition.
Oh, my God. I had one listener who's a friend say, like, hey, you're going to do Angry Marines lore at some point? And I'm just like,
no.
Ooh, don't think so, buddy.
Lo siento mucho, my friend, but we're not.
Ach 9.
Right. Well, that sounds terrible, but you know it's even more terrible than bad people at a game store?
It's going to be hard, but what else?
So you finish putting your models together, your hands are not glued, you have not run out of blood from cutting and scraping away the mold lines, and you put them on your little piece of cardboard for priming, you get outside, you start priming, and you run out of primer mid-model. And this happens every single time.
Oh, no. Well, see, here's the thing, though. I'm optimistic here because you're not mentioning the primer fuzzing up, and I have it on very good authority that in hell, at least it's a dry heat.
You know it'd fuzz up, though.
Oh, absolutely. It would be some ancient can of Armory primer from, 1995 that is just going to fuzz up immediately. Oh, God. Terrible. Have you ever had, like, I've had models, like, fuzz up like that, and I try to, like, hit them up with a toothbrush to just desperately save them, and it is desperate.
It's bad. No, you strip them at that point. That's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do.
That's not true. That's not true. You can actually, to get rid of the fuzz, you can actually hit them with gloss varnish.
On primer, too?
No, primer. No, I'm thinking about varnish. No, you
varnish.
Strip them if it's primer. You're just like, oh, fuck.
So the addendum here to this, like, awful aerosol story here would be that the cans of spray paint and the cans of varnish are indistinguishable.
Oh,
that's a sub-circle of that circle of hobby hell.
Oh, I feel like that circle of hobby hell, the spray paint circle, goes real deep.
It goes deep and wide, much like the spray of an army painter spray can.
Very nice. Okay, what else we got?
Well,
I almost gave you a rim shot. Almost.
Well, we're still working on painting our models here. And you've got your model's base coats down, and you're about to break out your wash pot, and it turns out every wash pot is designed by the same people who designed Weebles. So they wobble, although these ones do fall down, and you cannot go more than a couple days without spilling yet another giant pot of Nuln Oil, and that costs a lot of hell dollars, I'm not going to lie.
Not only does it cost a lot of hell dollars, but it just absolutely ruins your painting area.
Absolutely. Dude, I spilled
never dries.
I spilled half a pot of contrast black on my painting area like a week after I got this desk.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's never going away.
Yeah, if I spill any paints on my desk, I'm just going to leave.
I'm so sorry.
Move to a new town.
I'm so sorry that the town of Annandale, I guess, is going to get you in a week and a half.
Yeah, well, too bad. All right, well, we've got another circle of hell here. Mm-hmm. You know what happens when you bring a newly painted model to a game, right?
Generally, I do, and it hurts to my core.
It gets murdered immediately. Well, here's this now in hell. Any painted models you have, they cannot make saves.
It's actually a special rule called "and they shall make no saves."
Yeah, no saves. Any painted models, no saves.
And they're going to miss every single shot.
It's real bad.
So I feel kind of bad saying this next circle of hobby hell because I experienced something very close to it. But this is one where your opponent is going to play exclusively with proxy models that are not only never the same turn to turn, but they're your only opponent in town. So you don't want to like call them out on it, because if you do, they're going to go back to some other part of hell and you're not going to have anyone to play with anymore. And you still want to play 40k, even if it's going to be against Marquis de Sade this time around.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Oh, God, I can't even remember the last time I played anybody with, like, actual proxies going on.
I mean, a little bit of proxying here and there is acceptable. The time I played against a dude who had a second monolith in his list that was made up of about 24 Yu-Gi-Oh cards taped into the shape of a monolith, that was a special one.
I'm sorry, that kind of rules.
I appreciate the grift. Like, I appreciate the hustle there. I appreciate that he put in the effort to at least tape Exodia the Forbidden One and all of his friends into the shape of a monolith, but I'm not here to play with your poor man's paper mache. I'm here to play Warhammer 40,000.
Not playing Yu-Gi-Oh, fucko. We're playing 40k. Well, here's a circle of hell that is all too real for both of us. This one might be a circle of real life.
Yeah.
Every time you schedule a game, some stupid real life stuff happens and you have to cancel last minute.
Dude, I want to get a game with you, but my plumber's coming over later. I've got this clog in my drain. He needs me to be there. He's very emotionally vulnerable. He needs my support. I'm sorry I can't be there, man.
I want to get a game with you, but there's an emergency at my work where we make podcasts. There's a podcasting emergency, and I have to go.
I want to have a game with you, but there's a deer in my building, and I got to take care of that.
I want to have a game with you, but all 4 tires are flat on my car.
I want to have a game with you, but my car is pregnant. Hell is horrible.
It's terrible. So here's the thing, Campbell.
Yeah.
There's one more circle of hell.
Oh, a 10th circle?
The 10th circle.
Oh, what is the Xth circle of hell?
In the 10th circle of hell, every player rolls dice like you do.
Oh, no! No! The ironic punishment is too real!
Every player hurls their dice skyward and allows them to fall upon the battlefield, doing incredible destruction to your beautifully painted models.
The drop tiles are just like dented and missing where pewter dice have been thrown carelessly skyward into them.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, bud.
Oh, it's okay. I live my sin.
All right, well, let's try not to live it whenever we play team games in the future.
Well, actually, I feel this feeling in my head. I think that was all a dream.
Oh, wait, I might
You have a button that does this. Why did you spend this money if you don't have a button that does this? Oh, I feel so much better. Like I'm not in hobby hell, but just in the real hell that is the year of our Lord 2019.
It's almost over.
It is almost over. It only gets worse from here, fellas and not fellas.
All right. Well, let's move on to our second segment of the show. And this is ironic because this show's real fucking long already. How to make 40K games go faster. So 40K, as we know, it's a time-consuming thing. And a lot of times, you want to get out of it with under 3 hours, and you can't always do that.
Right.
So we're going to brainstorm some ideas to make 40K games faster. And there's a lot of ideas here that we can. There's a lot of this well is very deep.
Yeah, and I also want to put this out there that this is not like speeding through games at the expense of fun. There's just definitely some fat to be trimmed, as it were. Like we enjoy this game a lot, and playing fast and frantically is not what we want to do. We just want to, speed things up a little bit. And I just want to thank Dave McIntosh for coincidentally sending an email with this idea when we were looking for a topic like 3 days ago.
He was Johnny on the spot. He was Dave on the spot.
Dave on the Mackin spot. Sure.
I'm sorry. I just love this thing. All right.
Okay.
Let's get to it, man. I got one.
Sure.
Learn your rules.
Absolutely. Preparation is a lot of this. Like a lot of this is down to preparation, and knowing your rules is a pretty primo sort of thing.
Right. So you're not looking through your codex every 5 minutes trying to figure out how many attacks does this guy have?
Right.
What's his leadership?
What does a bolter do? Like you should know you should at least, don't need to know everything, but you should at least know the high level stuff of how your army plays before a game. And I would say bookmarks or sticky notes in your codex or Battletome, whatever, on the pages you need are a super good idea. Like I've done this when I play with my dad sometimes because, he doesn't play this game very much. So I'll just put little markers on here's the page for Leman Russ. You know what that does? Here's the page for Guardsmen. Here's the page for Baneblades, whatever. Like that's a really good way to speed things along.
And I'd say as a corollary there for learning your rules is having reference material ready. Mm-hmm. Like maybe print out your lists beforehand with, Battle Scribe, which is a tool that a lot of people use. It has stats and rules and stuff that you can print out. I know that our friend Greg makes Butt Scribe, which does a very nice job of printing out data sheets. Mm-hmm. And having that reference material in front of you instead of having to page through a book is really helpful. But the thing for me that has helped me to learn rules and learn points and learn stuff about my armies is creating lists by myself without technological aids, without anything but like a spreadsheet. And like, because I'm the kind of person that if I am going to remember anything, I have to take notes.
Okay.
So writing things down for me helps me learn how, not just how to play Warhammer, but how to get quick at it, how to learn my rules, how to learn somebody else's rules, and how to learn how my army comes together. So, and I think another corollary there is like learn your opponent's rules too. Like just learn about other armies. Don't just focus on your army. Goonhammer.com does a great job with their start competing articles. And you can learn about armies that aren't your army. I remember at Nova, man, I had a real long game against Gene Stealer cults.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's a blind spot for me.
That is a tough army, dude. There's so many rules and so many. No, this one does it differently. Kind of like gotcha moments in there. So
absolutely, because a gotcha moment feels real bad. But like when it comes to building your list, like okay, this might seem super obvious, but building your list ahead of time. Like I didn't used to do this. Like when I started playing when I was like a teenager or whatever, we'd, 2 or 3 of us would show up to the table, be like, what points are we doing? Okay. And we'd sit down and write lists and then we'd play. And that would be like, if you're only going to get to hang out for a couple hours, losing 20, 30 minutes while people build lists and take stuff out sucks. So doing that ahead of time means you have more time together to play.
Can I add on to this?
Sure.
Show up early and set up the table.
Oh, yeah, that's really
nice.
If
we're talking about preparation, like I had this game against Patrick last week, and I knew that he was coming in around 6 p.m. and the game store closes at around 8 p.m. So I was like, well, we need to move when we get there. So I had my list ready. He had his list ready, and I showed up early and I set up the table in like a Nova standard layout.
Yep.
With plenty of line of sight blocking terrain in the middle and even sides of ruins and stuff. And I set it up early. So when he showed up, all he had to do was pull out his models and start rolling dice. Yeah,
absolutely. That's, again, like a lot of this does go into preparing for the game. Do you have anything else you want to do pre-game, or should we get to stuff on the tabletop?
Yeah, just, properly documenting your list and sharing it with the person before the game is always a good idea so they know what to expect.
Well, that's the thing is when your game starts and you have your army out, or you have your army out before the game starts, just explain what everything does to your opponent ahead of time. Like that's just always a good practice. But just even if there's somebody who's played a million games, being like, that's squad of Hellblasters, that's squad of Intercessors, that's squad of that's Repulsor, this, that, and the other thing. Like just letting them know what's up so they don't have to ask a lot. What's that do? What's that do? What's that? What's that?
Yeah, or you can ask them, hey, do you know what this does?
Yeah. And and vice versa. Yeah, like figuring out ahead of time, because when someone has to explain something to you while they're rolling dice, that's going to slow that down. So just get that out of the way ahead of time.
Well, let's talk about rolling dice for a minute.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about rolling dice.
So rolling dice is a thing that slows the game down. So people need to police their dice well. And like you've got to like... There are so many times when I'm playing somebody who's just got this giant pile of dice, of different colored dice, and they're just grabbing fistfuls and they're counting them one by one, and they need like 14 or something.
Yep.
And I'm just standing there being like, there's got to be a better way, my dude. There has got to be a better way. And there is. So I have these little dice cubes, right? And they have 27 dice in them. So I subdivide all of my dice by 9s and then 3s.
Okay.
So I know that I've got piles of 3 everywhere, or I've got piles of 9 everywhere. And the way things happen to and this is just pure anecdotal evidence, is I find there's a lot of 9s and there's a lot of 7s in Warhammer. Like you're like, oh, I'm taking 7 saves, or I have 9 shots, or something like that. Like I don't know what's going on, but it's just like a lot of 9s, a lot of 7s. And so I try to group my dice like while my opponent's turn is happening, or I'm waiting for something to happen, I'm policing my dice. I'm getting them in geometric shapes and piles and stuff, so I can just quickly grab them and start rolling.
Yeah, I know I have 20 dice, so I just know when I shoot with the 10-man squad or whatever, rapid fire, I've always got it. I know I've got 20 dice, so I'm like, okay, I need 19. I just pop one out and just roll the 19 or whatever. Like knowing how many dice you have is just really good. And it's a great way to kind of speed things along. But when it comes to rolling for your weapons or whatever, so like let's say you have a unit with varying weapons that basically have the same stat line. So like, let's just take aggressors because they take forever. So you're like, okay, Bullstorm Gauntlets, it's going to be 18 shots. And Fragstorm grenades, so that's going to be 3d6 shots.
Yep.
Just roll the 3d6 and just add them all together and roll them all together because they're all strength 4, AP nothing, or AP 1 or in the Tactical Doctrine. It does not matter if you make them, roll them all, take the saves from the gauntlets. Okay, roll them all, take the saves from the Fragstorm gauntlets, grenades.
Yeah.
That just slows things down, and it does not do anything to like help the game or make it go faster.
In some models, like what do you call them? Repulsors. There we go. Thank you. Repulsors have like a bajillion guns and they shoot a million shots.
Yep.
But like knowing exactly what they have and like grouping it up beforehand and making sure you're on point for all these things, like that is it will speed the game up quite a bit. May I make a suggestion, Campbell? Dice box or dice tower?
Dice box, dice
Huge.
tower is silly.
No, both. I'm saying
okay.
These are both suggestions. Like they will speed up your rolling. When you roll on the table and your dice go everywhere, and then you're like reaching around to pick them and drag them back into where you can get them so you can roll them again or whatever. Like that's a waste of time. Have a dice box with a neoprene mat.
You've seen me roll dice. The world is my dice box.
No, Campbell, it shouldn't be. It fucking shouldn't be.
Okay.
You can get a dice box and gently roll dice into a fucking dice box, and they're all there. They're not scattering across the table, and you can fucking pick them up and do whatever the fuck you want in there. It speeds things up quite a bit. I bought a dice box at Nova, and I use it every game. I bring it with me to every game. It is, at this point, invaluable.
Dude, I played a game at Warhammer World years ago against a couple of goons, and it was on the Plastic City tables.
Yep.
And they all have these gutters that are perfectly sized for dice to get trapped in. And per dice get trapped at a weird angle in. So I would roll, let's say, 10 bolter shots. Well, half of them fell into the gutter, so I got to reroll those. Okay, cool. Well, now I've got to reroll my misses. So I pick up all my misses, I reroll the misses. Well, those all fall into the gutters too, so I got to reroll those again. So I've rolled the dice to hit like 4 times each now, and then I need to roll the wound, and I do the whole thing again. And just having a dice box, something like that, would help so much and help contain this ridiculous mess.
Campbell, did you say you're picking up your misses? Are you picking up your misses from work?
Oh my fucking god. No, she came home and just flipped me off because I told her I was recording. Okay. So,
oh my god.
Fine.
I love this thing.
Yeah, that makes one of us.
I hope the listeners are loving it as much as I am.
Look what your Patreon dollars have wrought. So here's the thing. I love just like chatting with my opponent while I play a game. Like you're just having, a friendly interaction. So you're shooting the shit, talking about like, oh, how'd you do this? What do you think about this? Whatever. Like might be game stuff, might be real life stuff, whatever. You're just chatting, having a good time. But that can be really hard to maintain that conversation during more intensive parts of the game. So you might just end up like standing around shooting the shit when you should be shooting. So try to, if you can, try to have those conversations kind of center more around like the movement phase, because while he's moving 100 orcs or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Like he can talk about whatever he wants while, she's calculating what she needs to do for the turn. Maybe don't talk to her about, the weather or what have you. Like it's just good to kind of read the room, figure out when you want to like have conversations if you can. I know that's hard. It's a very organic sort of thing, but there's times during the game when you should shoot the shit, and there's other times when it might be a little less appropriate too.
I would say as a corollary to that, like pay attention when it's not your turn and think about what you're going to do on your turn.
Yes, absolutely. That's just good tactical advice as well as like good socials advice for this sort of thing.
Like, don't walk away during their turn. Like, stick around and look at what they're doing, especially during their movement phase, and think about what you're going to do to counter what they're trying to do. Especially during the movement phase when you're really just waiting for them to finish what they're doing.
Right, because if you're staying there hemming and hawing during your own turn, you're just burning time. And especially if you're playing in a tournament environment, which, this question isn't from a tournament player's perspective, I don't think. But if you're playing in a tournament environment where time is much tighter, being able to keep your turns short so you can actually play in the time allotted is super important.
I mean, that's actually a good point. You could practice with a chess clock.
Yeah, well, practice is honestly a thing that's going to get you going fastest, because like I don't need to remember that a bolter is strength 4, AP nothing, AP 1, the Tactical Doctrine, because I've been playing this game for fucking ever, so I know this.
Right, yeah.
But if I was playing a new army or whatever, I would need to play it a couple times to kind of get the hang of it.
Yeah, and like that, I think that comes together with learning your rules.
Yeah.
Basically, and that it's another good strategy is to actually practice. I'd say if you find yourself playing really long games, maybe decrease the points level or power level a little bit, and play smaller games and see how those go. Because if it takes you 5 hours to play a 2,000 point game, and you're not like drinking and bullshitting and having a hang out of it, and you're just trying to get through the game, but it still takes you 5 hours. Maybe you should start playing 1,500 or 1,000 point games and give those a shot and try to get a more manageable flow going with your gaming.
And if you are playing games that size, especially if you have a horde army, get some movement trays.
Get some movement trays, and like don't move your guys one by one.
Yep.
Like you get a range ruler too, not just a tape measure, but like a little 6-inch piece of acrylic. I got one in a prize pack in my first Nova, and I use it every game. And you lay that sucker down, and you just move your guys up to the edge of it as a group. And as long as you're not like, cheating, you can like speed move a little bit like that and keep things in range of one another, and just using that little range ruler and giving yourself the visual there, I think is huge. Instead of pulling out your tape measure and then 6 inches, this guy, and then moving it to the next guy, this guy, that can take forever.
Well, that's the thing is I think most of the time when I play, if I'm moving, say, a squad of, let's say 10 guards and 20 orcs, whatever, I'll just move the first couple of guys 6 inches, and everyone else just kind of in a vague
pile in behind them,
because it doesn't super matter all that much. I'm usually just playing for fun.
It really doesn't. Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like I think the other tool I would suggest there is like, it might be nice to have a laser pointer for true line of sight sort of stuff, because sometimes people will argue or be like, oh, let me see that. And it might not be argue is a strong word, but some people will be like, oh, I want to make sure you actually have that shot. And having that sort of thing gives you some proof of, that you do have the shot, so you don't have to have that back and forth conversation, and also doubles as a wonderful cat toy.
It's true, it does. Here's another suggestion. Make sure your bags and boxes and stuff are properly stowed. So there's like room to move around the table and room to maneuver, and it's not like in the way and stuff. Like keeping your space and your and everything is pretty important.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, man. This sounds like a lot of good advice.
Yeah, and it's all pretty actionable, easy stuff to do. Like, save for a couple of gadgets we mentioned at the end, like movement trays. Even GW's movement trays are actually rather nice. I like theirs better than most of their stuff out there.
I find myself using them quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I've used them in like a 2,500 point game I played in Spencer a while ago, and it was helpful. You eventually take them off there, but and also if you keep the clear plastic ones, you can use them across armies, which is really nice.
It is, yeah. And listeners, if you have any suggestions about this, hit us up, contact@40kbadcast.com, or if we missed something, or if we've offended you with something, let us know, and we'd love to chat about it via our email. But Campbell, it is time. It is time for me to experience this emotional pain in my own house instead of a studio at my place of employment. So please, read me some fact or fan fiction, and I'll decide whether it is fact or fan fiction. I did that very well.
You did.
Thank you.
Well, young whelps listening, I'd like to welcome all of you to the Fang. Please pull up a seat, pour yourself a tankard of mead, and get ready for a occasionally slightly gross story about space wolves.
I hate this already.
A few minutes later, he saw a shell hole in the snow. He hit the ground hard, but immediately turned and began to kill off guardsmen.
What?
One got past his hail of bolter fire and dived in the bunker. He was ready to strike at Hrolf's head when his innards spilled all over the floor, his intestines getting tangled in his feet. No. He went pale and fell to the floor. Then he saw a Grey Hunter squad run past his shell hole. Hrolf jumped up to join them. He ran immediately to the Ogren and drew his combat knife. He leapt upon it and stabbed it. He pushed it right through the Ogren's tiny brain because he knew that would be the only way to kill it. Hrolf, help! Hrolf turned his head and saw one of the Grey Hunters getting his arms torn off by a manic guardsman. He leapt to his aid and put a bolt through the guardsman's head. Okay, we'd get the hell out of here, shouted the wolf guard leading the pack. His armor was covered in blood, and 5 guardsmen lay dead around him. One in particular caught Hrolf's eye. Its gun was bigger than all the others, and it had one large arm and one small one. Also, its intestines, which were spilled over the floor, were pulsating. He turned. Wait, he called after the Grey Hunters. We'd better take this one with us, he indicated towards the guardsman. Yeah, sure, said one, and Hrolf slung it over his shoulder, coating him with a thin layer of blood. He made sure that the intestines didn't break. The journey back to the Fang was uneventful. After about an hour, they decided to call for a dropship and requested that a tech marine be taken aboard. He examined the corpse and said, yes, we had better take it to the Fang for extensive examination, but at least now we know why they were attacking us. Yes, heretics, spat Hrolf, but they did some good. They took out the Wolfen, so at least I didn't have to fight it. They made it back to the Fang and went straight to the hall, where dinner was just being served. Hrolf ate 4 entire steaks with 6 roast potatoes and gravy, drank 8 pints of undiluted alcohol, mistaking it for ale, and then keeled over backwards and had to be helped to his dormitory.
And then died.
When he woke up the next morning, he found, to his surprise, the walls caked in blood. He rose to his feet and went to take his bolter from under his bed. He felt something and grabbed it. And when he pulled it out, it was half a guardsman. He pulled it out and found it was lying on his bolter. He picked it up. Someone came around the corner and he instinctively aimed, and then he smelled his brother's scent and lowered the gun. His brother, Ragnar, not the famous wolf lord, just coincidence.
Just a different
said,
Ragnar.
Ralph, I'm surprised you didn't wake up. That heretic was about to kill you, but I shot him.
Hrolf was stunned.
Fucking pirate.
What?
You drank pure alcohol and went out cold. Anyway, Ragnar continued, the heretic guard have invaded and they've brought...
He turned around and fired 3 bolter shots.
Some friends.
He walked out of view and pulled the obliterated corpse of a Chaos Marine into his dormitory. Whoa, looks like he could use a hand, said Hrolf.
Always,
Ragnar smiled. They sprinted down the corridor together.
Wow, that was terrible.
It was.
Your accents made it good. That was a fine reading. You did a great job. You brought life to an otherwise lifeless piece of shit, and I've got to commend you for that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad I could really bring these stories to life.
That is garbage. That is fan fiction.
How did you know that The Ways of War, Chapter 2, Heretical Invasion, was by Sauron Jr. and not Bill King?
It was tough. It was difficult, but I figured it out at the end. Just at the end.
So I've got a real fun thing for you. I usually try to stay away from current authors because I don't want to, make them feel too bad or whatever about their works. But this is a piece written in 2003.
Oh, wow.
So I can look back at this individual's favorite things and kind of feel like a sucking chest wound that is like, oh God, that was that long ago. As I look and see his favorite television show, Invader Zim, and his favorite movie, Gladiator.
Space wolves and mead halls and Vikings and axes. Murder wolves and nice looking
asses.
Chain swords and power fists and intestines like string. These are a few of our favorite things. There you go. There's a little song for you.
There you go. You got it.
Little
a musical experience.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here, man. Let's plug some stuff and then let's leave. Let's leave this party.
Sure.
We're not going to do an Irish goodbye, which is my usual method of leaving parties.
It is the best way to leave any party or social situation, really. To
the surprise of absolutely no one. Okay, so we've got an email account, and we would like you to email it. It's contact@40kbadcast.com, and we just want to talk to you, just about whatever, man. Like we'll do it. We'll fucking talk to people for no reason. We talk to each other and then record that and send it to you anyways. So let's get some more talking in there.
Yeah, add to the tapestry that is the 40k Badcast. You can sew your own quilt square for our audio program.
It's true. Another way you can reach us is through social media. Twitter is where I think both of us are most active. I am at DB_sleazy. He is at Brother SRM. And I don't think I've really been tweeting much lately. Though I did correct you on your handsome Latinx actor who plays.
I'm having
the
a very hard
Mandalorian.
time identifying handsome spacemen. My apologies, everybody.
Yeah, you did say Diego Luna when you meant Pedro Pascal, and
I did.
Come on, guy. This is your chance to atone right now.
Hey, I didn't delete that tweet because I wanted to live with my fucking bad decisions and mistakes.
He's a knowledgeable, intelligent, and handsome boy, that Campbell.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Diego Luna.
Him too, and Pedro Pascal. Okay, but you're on Instagram, and you are also on Tumblr, and you post your models and stuff, and they all look so nice, so dang nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm on Tumblr at cam2d.tumblr.com. I post more pictures than Twitter usually allows me to post, and I also post on Crumbs McLums, have fun spelling that, fuckos, on Instagram. So if you want to see, I guess, pictures of my cats.
Yeah, and well, there's more ways you can engage with us. One very cool way to engage with us is making yourself vastly more flammable by putting on one of our shirts.
Yeah, that is true. You got to keep yourself warm this time of year. It gets dark at like 4 p.m. You're going to have to keep yourself warm. And the best way to do that is by wearing an extremely, extremely combustible t-shirt from shop.spreadshirt.com/40k
What's
Badcast.
more warm than an open flame?
And what's more warm than an open flame making contact with your skin?
Yeah, I love it. It's a great idea. So head on over to that and get our stuff. And there's one more way for you to waste your money with us.
There is.
You can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/40k Badcast, where we post exclusive content to our supporters. And you don't want to miss this content.
No, it's exclusive and it's content.
It is both of those things. And
do those two words set off a certain signal in your lizard brain that make you want to spend $5 a month or, God forbid, $6.90 a month? You bet they do.
Come to the Patreon and spend a joke amount of money on the internet for stupid reasons. And when your significant other or parent asks you why, tell them, shut up, Mom. I can spend my money how I want to. I'm an adult.
I am 35 years old, and although I live under your roof, you do not have control over my finances.
That's correct. Yeah. Get out of here, Mom.
Well, if that's all we got.
That's it, y'all. Thank you for listening. As always, we do really want to reach out and talk to you guys, so please get at us at our various methods. And, just thanks. It's the holiday season here. I've been thinking a lot about, what family means this year, having to, go through all this stuff without my mom around. And, I think that we kind of have a family here at the 40k Badcast. It's not just me and Campbell, your podcast daddies, but it's all of our podcast babies. And that's you, our listeners. And we love you and we want you to keep listening. And if there's anything you want to see with the show going forward, segment suggestions, sound quality suggestions, whatever it is, we want to hear it. And thank you so much for listening. And we hope you have a happy holidays too.
Yeah, if we don't get back on the air before December's out, we hope it's I guess not the worst December you've ever been through, I suppose.
That's one way to put it. All right, gang.
Happy holidays.
We're the 40k Badcast. We're bad at 40k. We're also bad at holiday well wishes.
Well, that's the problem. Is I've got a holiday well wish here as an inspirational
right.
quote.
This is like the second time in a row when I've done this, which I've completely forgotten the quote.
I know. Well, I remember the quote.
I got to start writing this down in the notes, dude. I got a quote. I got to
note the quote notes.
I got to note the quote.
The note in which you quote.
All right, please.
So yeah, it's a particularly holiday centric one. It's it is better to die for the emperor than live for yourself.
It certainly is, and we would die for you, the listener.
Wow, but much like the Prince song, I would die for you. Yeah,
with numerals instead of letters, just like that Prince song. Well, I guess
that's how you know it's serious.
All right, gang, we're bad at everything. We're the 40k Badcast, and we will see ya in the next cartoon.
Love you.